Could you do me a favor and sit on the podium, that also the last row could see you?
No. Are there any other questions? No, I'll stand up most of the time. It keeps me slim.
Is there an awareness or a consciousness, or is that also an expression of just energy happening?
Awareness, knowing, is part of the story of me. When the story of me collapsed, there is no awareness and there is no knowing. Now, the word consciousness is a word that I avoid, but I don't use very much, because I don't know what people mean by consciousness. I think it's a misleading word. If it means a knowing or an awakeness, then no, obviously consciousness, like awareness and knowing, simply collapse when the me story collapses. Of course, the me story is only an illusion, it's only an appearance. It's energy pretending to be separate. When that collapses, also what collapses with it is knowing and awareness. All that's left is unknowing.
And how does it feel? Can you slip?
No, it doesn't feel like anything because there's no one there.
But when you talk to your wife, for example, do you...
So I don't talk to my wife.
She talks to him.
It's that much. I don't talk to my wife. Talking to, or if you like, my wife happens. Most of the time, depends where. And my wife, if you like, my wife talks to me. It's what happens.
It doesn't feel like slipping in and out this illusion of being separate.
There is, we find with most people that this is happening to, that there is something prior to liberation called what we call awakening. There's a glimpse, you know, there is someone, and then suddenly there's just oneness, and then someone comes out of the other side and goes on seeking. And so there's a dance between, you could say, me and being, which goes on prior to liberation. But liberation, so-called liberation, I only use that word because it's liberation from the apparent imprisonment of being separate. So-called when liberation happens, it's all over, there's nothing left. Of course, there never was anything there before, but the idea that there was someone simply collapses. There's nothing left. So there isn't something that knows it's liberated. There could be a recognition that something is dropped away called being separate. And then thereafter, there simply is beingness. Life apparently goes on happening, functioning goes on happening, apparently. So talking to someone happens. Driving cars. There's no one doing it. Of course, there never was. The whole illusion that you are someone who does something is seen through, it's seen as completely illusory.
If this happens, the collapse, and
Apparently happens.
apparently, okay, and there never was anybody there anyway. The stories that I hear always are great suffering before the collapse, and this seems not necessary.
It's just nothing is necessary. Apparent liberation happens despite the me and the story, not because of it. Let's be clear about this. There are a whole lot of reports of so-called spiritual enlightenment or personal enlightenment, which are always delivered after a long period in a cave eating rice, or, you know, and you lose it, or you go through the dark night of the soul, all that crap. So that's the mind, thinking that somewhere something has to happen before liberation or enlightenment. It's nonsense. You can be the coolest guy in the world, smoke pot, drink beer and drive around in a Ferrari, and suddenly there's no one. Because it has nothing, liberation has nothing to do with anyone. Liberation is the end of the illusion that there ever was anyone.
Yeah.
So, what's this about story?
Yeah, thank you.
It's the mind fondly thinking that
Wanting.
the endeavour of wanting to be enlightened will one day be rewarded.
Wanting drama
Yeah.
at all times.
Yeah.
Yeah.